Okay. We're back. With some slightly different lighting because it's very sunny outside. It's a lovely, lovely day in the east of England. Um, and what a good game, what a good day it is for Chelsea and to be a Chelsea fan. This game felt, oh, I don't know how to explain it. This felt like so, it's like a weight off your shoulders, if it were the chains are off in a way. Let me just do my checks real quick. I can pop out my chat and stuff. Boop and boop. Okay, cool. So, like usual, we're gonna do our 7 points for the game, but obviously before that we'll do bingo. But overall, just yeah, the performance today was something that I've been looking for a while from certain players. Other players kind of let me down in terms of their industry, in the terms of their desire to actually play the game and um, try and help us win the game. Spoiler alert: there's a certain Frenchman that's going in one of these boxes. You'll know that. Some really dodgy really dodgy refereeing in this game too, which again I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, apart from that, the rest of the performance, despite the low amount of goals, was actually pretty good. The second half performance, obviously, way better than the first. I felt like we had a lot more, what's the word? We had a lot more kind of drive, kind of um, desire to actually play for the badge and to kind of get into the game, which is something that we kind of lacked in the first half. There were some certain players that were trying their best in the first half, but it wasn't really a full commitment. I felt like um, Enzo Maresca must have gotten some kind of hair dryer out for the for the um, for the first after the first half in the dressing room because at half time, because yeah, the game was completely different from that perspective. I don't know if my chat is actually working. One sec. I've got like 7 different windows open. Yeah, okay, the chat is on. Okay. Yeah, so we'll do the bingo first, and I'll do that in a second here. Let's flip over, whoosh, to the bingo. Now, a lot of these things actually did actually happen in this game, so we might be able to get a bingo. And in fact, I think the top line, just looking at it immediately, I think the top line is a bingo immediately. We get El Pinguino, goal/assist. This is for Marc Cucurella, who obviously is on the thumbnail. And did very, very well in this game and got us our 1 goal. We get false Neto. This was for Neto playing in the false 9, and he did that, interchanging with Cole Palmer at times, but he did play there. Clean sheet. We got a clean sheet. Very surprisingly, because there was a few moments of indecision between Sanchez and some of the defenders, but I felt like overall the defending was pretty good. We get common features. Yes, we got 2 common features actually, because we get George off the bench, but we also get Joshua Champong, who didn't get that much time, and I wish he would have came on instead of Jalabar. Because I don't really see what was the point in that. I guess it may have been a premeditated kind of a premeditated substitution for him to come on later, but there we go. So we get this one off as well. And then a Wes return. Yeah, we got a Wesley Fofana return, and honestly, he was one of the best players on the pitch, in my opinion. Again, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But that's our first, we get a bingo immediately, which is good. What else do we get here? We don't get the Vardy party, he didn't score. Caicedo clean tackle punished. I don't think we got this. I'm very glad that he didn't get carded in this game because we really, really needed him. If he gets another yellow, he would have been suspended for the Arsenal game, I believe. So, maybe I think it might have been a 2-game ban as well. I'm not sure. So glad we didn't get this. Game 2 halves, yeah, very much so. Again, the first half not particularly great in terms of our output, but the second half much, much better. Unlikely goal scorer. Now, usually I like to do this for defenders and for players that don't usually score, but Cucurella has actually been in quite good goal scoring form for us recently, so this feels a bit weird to kind of tick this off for him. I'm going to do it anyway because he is a left back. Player book for Descent. I don't think we got this. We don't get an Amugu cameo. Free space we'll think about later. Maresca ball in full flow. We did see some of this. Did see some good attacking moves, so I'm going to tick this off. Ref/VAR mistake. Now, wow. There was multiple in this game. I'll talk about that in a bit. So that's getting ticked off. James goal/assist. We didn't get this. He didn't play. He was obviously ill. Absolute battering. We didn't get this either. Campeón del Mundo was for Enzo Fernandez, but I don't think he got a goal or an assist. I'm not sure who plays the ball to Cucurella beforehand. I need to actually check, and maybe I can do that. Correct prediction I do not get, because I predicted 3-0 earlier in my first stream. Set piece goal we didn't get either. Mono in Australia, I am still the right way up, so that's fun. Palmer breaks his duck. Oh, this felt bad. This felt bad. Was it an Enzo assist? Okay, good. We can tick this off then. Lovely. I wasn't sure who played it because it was from the left side, so I wasn't sure if it was Enzo on that side or Caicedo, because they were kind of swapping around. Yeah, this Palmer breaks his duck thing is really sad because, like, and I'm gonna say this. I don't know if any of you guys felt the same way, but like I saw Palmer step up to take this penalty, and even though his record so far has been utterly fantastic, I saw him walk up to that penalty and I knew, in my head, I said to myself, he's missing. I knew that he was missing that penalty, and I could just tell. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, this is a perfect opportunity for him to get out of this duck and like get a goal and kind of get that confidence back, and it was so perfect for him to be able to kind of, this game was like the perfect opportunity for him to be able to get through that, and I just knew as soon as I saw him step up. And obviously, Madsen Manson doing all the antics in the goal doesn't help, but great save from him, genuinely, really good. Yeah, I feel so bad for him because and him being substituted off is also an interesting thing. We rarely ever see Palmer get subbed off. In fact, the fact that he gets subbed off before Nkunku in this game is very telling, in my opinion. I think that he might have already said there might have already been like a prearranged thing of like, okay, if you're not feeling good or you're not feeling like you're playing well, then you can come off. I did think that in the second half, Palmer actually started playing a little bit better. A few kind of little tricks and flicks and stuff like that, but again, really sad from him. And Nkunku good ×3. Oh no. I think this is the famous, what they call the mono jinx. I thought maybe he could have 3 good games in a row. I think it was wishful thinking. I really do think it was wishful thinking that Nkunku could have 3 good games in a row, because he absolutely reeked in this game. And top 4 secured. We get this because we are in the top 4. And also, I think I'll have to actually check this. Let me quickly check. I'm pretty sure I saw that that Tottenham got a late equaliser against Bournemouth as well. Did they? Yeah, they did. They got a 84-minute penalty from Son Heung-min, which is great because that means Bournemouth don't get any points on us. So we are now, if I actually look at the table, we're now on 49 points. We're 2 points clear of Man City in 5th. We're 2 points behind Nottingham Forest in 3rd. And we're only 5 points off of Arsenal, even though they've got a game in hand on us, in 2nd. So, like, it's weird to me because it's really weird. Because we've obviously had this big outrage and everyone's saying that we're in a rut, and because we got knocked out of the cups, and everyone's like, oh, we're doing so badly. But, like, we're really not. We're really not doing that bad. We're actually pretty good. We're in a pretty good position. Admittedly, we do have some really tough games coming up, though I think in the grand scheme of things, Spurs should be a winnable game for us, with how poor they've been in recent times. Arsenal, I think, is a different kettle of fish. I think Arsenal's a really tough game, and I would be very surprised if we get away from that game with any points. I would be honest, but that's a real big game for us, because as I said, even though they've got the game in hand on us, we're only 5 points behind them. So like, if we get 3 points against them, then we're really in the kind of in the upper echelons of the top 4, so we can actually cement that as our position and not have to worry about any late slip-ups. But yeah, let's move into talking about some of the players. Where has my thing gone? Oh, okay, well, that's fun. My thing's lagging again. Could we not lag? That would be great. Can we not lag? Uh, God damn, man. It's not coming up with the. Hang on, let me see if I can fix this. One sec. I'm gonna move over to this screen. It's not coming up with a set like this, the formatting thing. It's really annoying. I can't actually. There we go. I fixed it. Don't worry, it's all good. There we go. Now I haven't actually like thought about my points preemptively, but I do have a lot of players I want to talk about specifically. I think the majority of the things I'm going to talk about are in good. I'm going to talk about two things in bad, and then I'll just kind of make the rest of it up as I go along. The two things I want to put in bad. Firstly, I think everyone knows, considering my absolute disdain and vitriol towards these people, that the referees are going in the bad box. This was utterly horrendous from every single official on the pitch. I think that I've gotten tired of talking about how just utterly bogus VAR is, and just it's silly to me because I tweeted this, and I think you guys can agree. If we as Chelsea Football Club were Liverpool in this game, they would have had 4 penalties. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that that's the truth. I feel like it's become so apparent that there are certain biases towards certain teams in this league. And we are just unfortunately one of the teams that isn't in that bias. There is, I would say, 2 clear Stonewall pens in this. I'm not too sure about the first one on Palmer, but there is contact. They say it's minimal, but like there's basically no attempt to play the ball, so I'm not sure why that's not given. I can kind of see maybe it's a bit soft. That's fine. The one with the handball, I think, is a handball. I think Connor Cody knows what he's doing, but again, I think that's a bit harsh to punish him. The other one, though, on Pedro Neto is absolutely Stonewall. Absolute Stonewall penalty. I cannot believe that James Justin has gotten away with that. And the thing that's egregious to me for this, it's not the fact that they haven't been given, because that's bad in itself. I don't care. Like, oh, they haven't been given. The problem for me is how quickly VAR is waving them away. They don't even look at it. When it's something towards Chelsea, giving Chelsea an advantage, they do not look at it at all. But guarantee if we score a goal and there's like an offside or a question of handball for one of our goals, they take 6 minutes to look at it and try and rule it out. It's so frustrating that they always look to take away goals rather than to give them, and that's, yeah. And again, the referee just giving Leicester loads of fouls for basically nothing as well is just ridiculous. How Wout Faes stayed on the pitch, I think, is a miracle as well. He made like 5 bad tackles on the halfway line. He obviously had that head collision with Pedro Neto as well. Just utterly bogus. But yeah, don't want to talk about that too much because I always talk about them. But yeah, just that has to go in there. I think the other thing that I can put in bad here is one certain Frenchman who I cannot find. Where is he? There he is. It's Christopher Nkunku. Now, I praised him the last couple of games because I felt like he applied himself a lot better. But this was a return to normality for me, for him, and yeah, it's really sad because I tweeted this out. I genuinely believe that when we play with Nkunku, half the time at least, because he has played well at times this season, I will say that. I'm not going to pile on him too much, but at times it feels like we are literally playing 10 versus 11 when he's on the pitch. It's so egregious how little effort he puts into actually trying to get the ball back. The difference, you see the difference between him and, for example, Pedro Neto, it's absolutely night and day, where Neto will sprint 50 yards to try and close down a ball, and when he needs that second player to kind of help produce the pressure, and obviously that's part of the way that we play, is that we press up high and we try and force errors and get the ball back and kind of play from those dispossessions. It's really egregious to see our left winger just standing there, casually jogging from the halfway line and not really even putting in an effort to press. Less is said about his actual ability on the ball, because I think that when he's on the ball, he's slightly better, but he just, yeah, exactly as you've just said, he doesn't seem to fit in at Chelsea, and I feel like there's a real case for him to be kind of moved on, I would say. And I don't think it's like, I'm not a type of person that's going to be like, oh, we need to sell players, this person's crap, blah blah. I'm not that type of person, but I do think it's just a matter of, I don't think he suits the way that we want to play. I think that he's a player that really relies on having a second striker next to him, like obviously like Yusuf Poulsen was when he was at RB Leipzig. And I feel like the problem with that hit that Nkunku's got is that we kind of I feel like he's really unfortunate that he came into this team and he was going to be the superstar, right? He was going to be the player that was going to play in the 10. He was going to play off of Jackson. He was going to be really, really good, and we saw those kind of connections happen in pre-season. But unfortunately for him, Cole Palmer came into the team, and Cole Palmer is just 10 times the player, and it's unfortunate, despite Palmer's low and kind of poor form recently, that he's always going to be playing in that 10 role, and Nkunku just doesn't have a space here. And I do think there is credit to say that Nkunku could play for us in rotational games as that 10. I think that instead of playing Palmer there, Nkunku should be playing there, and I think we've seen that at times in the Conference League where he can play there and play well. Obviously behind another striker, but other than that, his profile just doesn't seem to fit us at all. And obviously, when he plays off the left, it's not his position. I'm not going to discredit him too much, but as I said, the main thing that just bugs me about him is just his lack of effort at times. And in a system like this, where you need to have that effort, you need to have that high press, and where other players in the team, what I'll talk about later, really, really show that heart and desire to kind of do that and help us win the ball back, he absolutely just completely ghosts in that regard and doesn't really help us out. But yeah, I'll put him there. Let's talk about some good things, because we have a lot of good things to talk about. I think the first player I want to highlight is there's so many players I can talk about here. I think let's talk about Wesley Fofana first. I think Wesley Fofana kind of proved in this game a lot of the things which I've been saying about him for the last few months, where I have been saying how instrumental he has been to our backline, how our form drastically dropped as soon as he was injured and wasn't in the team, and as soon as he come back in today, and he wasn't even playing in the preferred position that he'd like to play, and he was actually playing as a kind of hybrid right back / centre back, and he was phenomenal. It was utterly phenomenal. I don't think he did anything wrong. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm trying to find something that he did wrong in this game. I can't really think about it. He was obviously being his aggressive self. He was putting himself about. The thing which I really liked about his performance today was the fact that he, even despite his injuries, he ran his socks off in terms of putting in the effort. He was driving into midfield with the ball and trying to open up the pitch, and that's something that we don't always get from our centre-backs. And yeah, it's just, again, and defensively solid too. The thing which I like about him is the fact that because he's got so much pace and because he's so aggressive, is that he can be that kind of... I don't want to say this because they're two different players in the way that they play, but the kind of same style as like a Mickey van der Ven or a Virgil van Dijk, you know, where they don't really like to do a lot of defending, but when the ball goes in behind them, they're the first one there. They're always the one that's going to get back and kind of make that recovery. He's so good at that as well on the right side. And again, playing in a bit of a right back role, we saw him get up the pitch a couple of times too, try and make it overlaps. I found that quite funny, seeing him trying to play a bit of a full-back role, even though he wasn't really meant to be there. And yeah, just again, solid defensive thing. He is. I think it's no small feat that he has come back into the team, or no coincidence that he's come back into the team, and it's the first game in ages that we've got a clean sheet, other than the Southampton game, which is obviously they are one of the most toothless teams in the entire league. So very good from him. Hopefully he can stay fit, and I hope that he can get more performances, and preferably in his actual kind of right centre back role rather than this right back role. But yeah, great performance from him. We take a clean sheet, even though it's a clean sheet for Sanchez, but there we are. I think the next player we need to talk about is because I've got in my, so I've done 2 points. I've got, or 3 points rather. I need 4 more players. In my head, I'm trying to figure out who I need to talk about. I think the first one I want to talk about is a player that I don't always give flowers to because he's so good. And when he puts in exceptional performances, I do want to highlight him, and that's Moises Caicedo. Again, what I was talking about with Nkunku, with that kind of desire to play for the club and desire to do everything at 100% all the time, and in Caicedo's case, it's 110%, even 120% effort that he puts in. Just phenomenal. Again, and it's one of those things where he is a player that I said, he puts in such good performances every single week that to see him somehow do even better than he normally does is genuinely mind-boggling to me. He was recovering absolutely everything, especially in the last stages of the game. He was being really, really good at being that player that can mop up. I think that he was spraying out some nice, what I like to call quarterback passes at times too, kind of trying to get the ball forward as well. We saw a lot of that in this game, a lot of kind of searching balls to the far post or to either side of the flanks. Obviously with Nkunku and Cucurella kind of making those runs out to the left channel. He was the one who was kind of picking them up and throwing the ball out there, splaying it back. And again, the thing which I really want to come... Am I frozen? I'm in Iceland! I'm in Iceland. But no, hang on, let me quickly fix that. Are we back? There we go. Thank you for letting me know. But the thing which I really want to commend him for is what you've just said there. Is the fact that he didn't get booked and he was very, very disciplined. Now, we know Caicedo is a player that loves to get stuck into a tackle. He loves to kind of, what's the word? Skate on the line of what's a foul and what's not a foul, I would like to say. He's always on that kind of cusp of, could this be a yellow card challenge or not? And more often than not, he usually gets that right and he's on the right side of the line, but he has been getting quite a lot of cards, and personally I think most of them aren't actually cards. I think he's got a bit of a bad rep with the referees. I think that's the kind of player he is, so they kind of look out for him more, for him to accumulate this. But obviously, as I said earlier, getting another card in this game would have been horrendously bad for our prospects in the next few games that are really, really big coming up, because he would have been suspended. And for him to stay disciplined and not to yell at the referees as well, not get booked for dissent, because he has done that at times. Because he, again, I feel like it's a vicious cycle with Caicedo, where he puts in a good tackle, the referee says it's a foul, then he gets annoyed because it's clearly not a foul, and then he gets booked for being mad about that. But there we go. The camera's migrated from Australia to Iceland. Yeah. That's probably where I got it from, to be honest. It's all over the place. But yeah, great effort from Caicedo again. And I think that he and a few other players kind of symbolise what I wanted to talk about in this game, and what I was kind of talking about with Nkunku, with that heart. I think the next player we're going to talk about is a prime example of that, and that's Pedro Neto. My God. Now, I think, to sum up what I think about Pedro Neto, and I don't think he had the greatest game in terms of him actually being productive with the ball at his feet. He wasn't obviously putting in really good crosses as much as he used to do. There were a few good ones, but he wasn't kind of doing that. The thing which I really want to commend him for is his, again, like I spoke about with Caicedo, just his absolute willingness to constantly press. I think there was a period in the second half where he runs around the pitch pressing for about an extended about 30 seconds, just pressing every single player on the pitch, and you could tell how good his pressing was by the fact that at the end of the game, if you look at all the players, he is the first player that instantly hits the deck and collapses, because he was so shattered after putting in so much effort. And that's the thing which I kind of want to see from our players, is that if you're not going to be putting in a good performance in terms of actually attacking and kind of producing and getting the goals and assists, the minimum that you can do is to put in 100% effort, and that's exactly what he did. Whereas I feel like on the opposite side of the spectrum with Nkunku, where he had a bit of a poor game from from like a producing goals standard, he didn't really make up for that with effort and kind of energy and dynamism, whereas Neto was doing that all game. And I think that, again, we saw him in the false nine position today, that interesting position where he can kind of drift out to the wide right. I think that he played quite well in that. Again, it's kind of difficult for him, being a player as small as he is, to kind of play as a forward, I would say, or as a pure nine. So I'm not going to commend him that bad, but I'm not going to put him down that bad for not really being in the box very much. But yeah, good from him. I liked in the first half specifically the kind of interchanges he was doing with Palmer, where he was sometimes dropping deep to allow Palmer to play as the 9. I think that was very smart. I don't know if that was a tactical decision from Maresca, or if that was kind of a thing that the players figured out with themselves. But yeah, good from him. I think I'm going to do 8 points, because I've realised that I've got 2 more. I've already done this, and there's 3 more players that I want to talk about. The first one is Enzo Fernandez. Again, I sound like a broken record, because this is the same thing. This is the same thing that I was speaking about with Caicedo and Neto. It's just 100% effort all the time from him. And not only that, I think that in general, him playing in that kind of box to box wide right role, I think he was phenomenal in terms of just getting on the ball. And the thing which I think is really interesting about him is because we know that he's not the quickest when it comes to his actual pace and his sprint speed, but somehow he always times his runs in beyond the kind of back line or the fullback or whatever, when he's making that overlapping run from that 8 position. He always times them perfectly to get in behind and try and get a cross in. And obviously but obviously he's putting in the crosses from the corners and stuff, and he's obviously getting the ball in to get corners. Obviously, at the end of the game, there's a lot of game management with him kind of just holding it in the corner, which is fun. Yeah, as you said, this is the player that we saw in the 2022 World Cup, and it's another assist from him as well. If you got what you guys are saying is true, which I don't doubt is. It's another assist for him. I think, as I spoke about before, he's now 3 goal contributions away from his best ever season, which was at River Plate. And yeah, it's funny because he's like, this is the type of player we saw in glimpses under Poch, but we never really got to see the best of him. And now it just seems like, even though he's even busier than he was under Poch, which is absolutely crazy to say because Poch had him doing left wing shifts at times. The thing which is cool is that he's playing in the 3 positions. I always say this. He plays in the 3 positions. He plays the 6, the 8, and the 10. But he not only that, he's playing as a wing back at times. He's popping up as a striker at times, trying to press. It's literally everywhere. And for him to be able to put in that much effort in terms of pressing and actually just putting himself about and being so box to box, but also still having the quality to pick out passes and to kind of bring other players into play and dictate the pace of the game, as it were, whilst doing all that, buzzing around as well, is just phenomenal. And yeah, I've run out of superlatives for Enzo because he's been fantastic. And again, it was a captain's performance. I always find it so important for him and James, when James is fit, to lead the team by example. I think that's such a big thing, and especially in a team where all the players are young and are kind of impressionable and aren't too kind of experienced with these types of things. This is a game where in many other kind of games, and last season especially, I feel like we would have probably conceded late or got done in and had a reverse on us and lost this 2-1. And I think that he kind of symbolises what we are now, and it's like, cool, we can actually win these types of games that are going to get scrappy when things are difficult, and against these kind of low block sides where they play a 5 at the back and it's really hard to break down. He says like, hey, keep going, we'll get through this eventually. And obviously he gets the assist for Cucurella in the end. Did I have another player to talk about, or is it just Cuckoo? I think it might just be Cuckoo. Is there anyone else here that I want to talk about? I do want to give a shout out. I'm not going to put him in the box, but I'm going to give a shout out to Tosin. I think Tosin was really good in this game too. I think him winning all his aerial duels was really good for him, and he was kind of being the one that was kind of calming things down. George, I'm not going to put him in a box either. I would like to mention him because it's good to see him get off the bench. I'm really glad to see Josh get off the bench. I'm a bit confused as to why, I said this earlier, I'm a bit confused as to why Chalobah came on at all, considering Josh was there and then he eventually came on anyway. I think that's a bit rude to him. I hope, though, that this is gearing him up, with him kind of getting a few minutes now, is kind of trying to get him a little bit more match fit for the upcoming conference game. And I think hopefully George and Josh will both play in that game at some level, some point. Hopefully we see Shim as well. Shim can go in as well. That'd be good. But let's talk about the main man. Let's do it. We know he's on the thumbnail. He's gonna be the biggest thing here. I know I usually let you guys vote for True Blue, but I think it's pretty obvious that that's gonna be happened. I am in Iceland again. Let me do that. I don't know why it started doing this in the last few weeks. I noticed it the other day before stream, but it didn't actually freeze on that stream that I noticed it, so I didn't point it out, but now it's actually starting to happen a lot. Yeah, I'll change that on the bingo card. Let's talk about Cucurella. Marc Cucurella, or we can call him Marcos Cucurella, because he's coming with all the goals now. I put him on the bingo card because I expected him to get a goal. He did get a goal. I think that I could talk about Palmer as well. I'll talk about him in a little bit, maybe. I'm not sure. I could talk about the fact that he got the goal. I could talk about the fact that he's, again, like Caicedo, Neto, and Enzo, just putting in 100% effort for everything. I could put in the fact that he completely shut out the right-hand side at times and basically made that channel inaccessible for, I forget who it was on that side. Who was it? It was someone who was locking up towards the end of the game. I don't remember. I apologise. But yeah, I could mention all of that. However, the thing which I want to, and I spoke about this I think it was the last stream that I did. I'm not sure. Not the last stream, but the last I think it was in the Feeling Blue, the retro Feeling Blue that I did before, where I said that he is the symbol and he's the embodiment and the personification of what it means to be a Chelsea player at this point in time, where he is a player that says, I don't care what everyone says about me, I don't care about the boos that I get every single game, I'm going to play at 150% every single game, I'm going to put in maximum effort to win the game, and just when things are going bad and it's like, oh, we need a goal from somewhere, he just said, you know what, screw it, I'm taking the game by the scruff of the neck, I'm scoring a goal here. And that's the thing which I really like about his goal. It's not just the was it Bobby D called overread? Okay. It's not just the fact that he scores this goal, and not just the fact that it's very Marcos Alonso-esque. It really reminds me of the one, oh, I forget which one it was. Was it against? It was either against Spurs or Newcastle. It was against a team in a white shirt, I believe, if my memory might fail me. I'm not sure. But the one where he smashes it across goal into the bottom corner, which is really, really close to this goal. It's just, I love the fact that he is just constantly now, consistently adding goals and assists to his game. It's one of those things where we kind of felt like he could do more in an offensive sense, because that's the thing we always said was really funny when we had him and Chilwell was like our two left backs, and we were always saying, oh well, Chilwell's really good going forward and Cucurella's really good going backwards. If we could have a mixture of the both, that would be great. But now it's just Cuckoo is both. He's good at going backwards, he's good at going forwards, he's good in the midfield, he's good all season. And I tweeted this out earlier, I can't remember what I said verbatim, let me actually find it. Because I said this before the game. Let's see if I can find it. I was talking about Caicedo, and if I can, God, this is gonna take me a long time to find it now. Here we go. I said this was 10 hours ago. I tweeted this out because I was replying to Elliot on Twitter, because he was talking about Cucurella and how good he's been. I said, you can make an argument that he's been our player of the season so far. He and Caicedo have been the tone setters for the rest of the team all season. And I think that's the thing which I want to talk about here with Cucurella, is that he is an absolute tone setter. He's leading by example, and he's the type of player that, as I said, kind of got clowned on last season, and everyone was saying he was awful and that we need to sell him, that he's a waste of money, 50 million from Brighton and all that. And for him to turn it around in such a spectacular way, and not only just become an improved player, but become the best player on the pitch pretty much every game, is really, really commendable. And I absolutely love the bloke. He bleeds blue. I would genuinely, he could play as a captain if we have him in a rotational game and we don't have Enzo and James on the pitch. I genuinely think he could play as captain. He is so. I said he's the embodiment of what we need at Chelsea in terms of the effort that he puts in and the kind of just the willingness to play for the badge, because we haven't had it in so long. We haven't had a group of players that really want to win, and it feels like a lot of the time the main thing that gets this Chelsea team down is not the performances in terms of the physicality or the tactics. It's always the mentality that always gets us down. It's always one of those things where we self-destruct and self-immolate in a way that we can't get over these kind of mental breakdowns that we have whenever we concede. It's like, oh, it's panic stations. And I know partly of that is the crowd that doesn't really help. I've spoken about that in the past. It's really good to see now we're getting this new mentality coming through from these whole group of all of these players that are in the good box right now, but also some others that are in the team that I haven't mentioned, where it now feels that it's like, cool, we can actually win tough games. We can break down these low blocks. We can just get back into the top four despite people doubting that we would be able to do it. What a day. What a day. Genuinely, second highest goal scoring defender in the league. That's crazy. And I mean, admittedly, he has played in midfield for some of those goals, so it's a little bit skewed, but it is crazy how that I said the difference between him last season and this season is genuinely insurmountable. It's crazy how good he's been. I'm thoughts on Warm Palmer. I don't like that term, so I'm not going to talk about that. Let me run the poll, and I will talk about Palmer a little bit. I think it's a bit silly for me to run the poll. Let's be honest, but I'm gonna put the poll up anyway because I feel like you guys deserve a fair kind of vote, just in case you want to rule against what I believe. Let's put in you, and I've got a choice between Fofana and Neto. I'm gonna put Fofana in, even though Neto was really good. I'm gonna put Fofana in because I feel like he contributed more. Boom, vote in the poll. I'll take a sip of my coffee. And yeah, I don't think that. Yeah. So you know what's really funny? You've just stolen the words out of my mouth in chat. I don't think that Palmer was particularly bad. I think that the thing that is kind of getting him down, and if I was to give him a rating in this box, I'm not going to be doing it. I would put him in the medium box. I think him missing the penalty is whatever. You know, he has gone his entire career so far without missing penalties. He's going to miss one eventually. It happens. I think that personally, I wouldn't have given him the penalty, which sounds crazy, right? Because he's obviously our designated penalty taker. He's very good at being a penalty taker. I think that it's very clear that his confidence and is completely in the gutter. I feel like he's doing things that he wasn't doing earlier in the season or even last season, where now he's neglecting to kind of pass the ball when it's the better option. He's going for shots that are really speculative, and even though before he could kind of justify taking those spectacular shots and those kind of speculative shots because he was in such good form, I feel like it's now getting to the point where it looks more like he's just kind of shooting and hoping rather than he's actually kind of going, you know what, I know I can score here. And again, I think the whole thing is mentality. We know how good he is. We know how much quality he has. I'm not too concerned about him. He'll bounce back. It's just one of those things where he's in a bit of a slump. As soon as that first goal goes in for him, and you never know, it might be against Arsenal. What a great time that would be if he gets a goal versus Arsenal. As soon as that first goal goes in, he gets that confidence back. He's going to go back to the same player that he was. As I said, I don't think it's too much of an issue for him. But yeah, again, I don't think he was too bad today. I think in the second half especially, I think he was really good. I felt like he was playing in a slightly different way in the second half. I felt like in the first half he was kind of, as I said, interchanging with Neto and dropping deep at times to pick up the ball, whereas I feel like in the second half he kind of was letting Enzo do that a bit more, and Enzo and Caicedo to be the one to drop deep, and he got a bit further forward and he was trying to lead the line in a way. I think that suits him much better. Again, it's unfortunate that he doesn't get a goal contribution today, but we get the win. So the win is a win is a win is a win. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you said, hindsight is 2020. That is true. But as I said, it's one of those things where, for me, I feel like when you've got a player that is, and obviously I don't know this because I'm not in the dressing room, I'm not the coach, whatever. Personally, if I was the coach and I had the impression that Palmer was in low confidence, I wouldn't have put him in that situation. That's all I'm saying. But obviously they know more than me. I'm not the coach. I'm not Enzo Maresca. He can do what he wants. I'm not Palmer. You know, Palmer is a type of player that we know the type of mentality that he has. Does have an elite mentality. He probably asked for the penalty. He wants that goal. You know, can't really deny him when he is the set piece taker. Palmer said, Maresca said Palmer didn't feel well in the night. That makes sense. I did, as I said, this is really weird. I said this earlier in the stream. I said when I was doing the bingo, I said when he stepped up to take that penalty, I looked at him and I said he's not scoring. I could tell there was something up with him in a way, and maybe this is just my kind of that mystic mono intuition or whatever. But like, I genuinely looked at him and I just said this. I said to myself, there's something about me just doesn't seem right. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was ill. But again, I think that's it. The whole Palmer thing's blown out of proportion. I don't think it's too much big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. I think, as I said, I think he'll be back. He'll be perfectly okay. Let's end the poll. I think it's Cucurella with 62% is what I've just seen there for the True Blue, and I think it's pretty much nailed on, isn't it? He gets the game winner. He gets the defensive contributions towards the end of the game. He gets the spirit, and he gets another player of the match. That's so rude. What you've just said there is so rude, but it's funny. Yeah, Palmer missed a pen. Let's not say he missed a pen. He didn't miss a pen. He had a penalty saved. That's better to say. We can't discredit Mads Hermansen because it's a very good save. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. This is as I said, this is a great day. It's a lovely day outside. It's a lovely day to get a win. Bournemouth and Spurs drew, so we've jumped up into the top four. We're 2 points clear of Manchester City, and we're 2 points away from Nottingham Forest, 5 points off of Arsenal. And we play them next. The next game is in the Conference League, our second leg against Copenhagen. I will just check to see when that is. I'm not sure what. I assume it's on a Thursday. Yeah. So next Thursday, the 13th of March, and it's going to be an 8 o'clock kickoff. So I'll be doing a live stream before then as well. It will probably be at, wait, that's 8 o'clock. So they'll probably be at 6:30. I'll do another pre-match live stream for that game, but I might not do a Feeling Blue because it'll be quite late, but we'll see. As I said, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. My camera's not frozen for the outro. This is perfect. We're not in Iceland for the outro. As I said, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Keep the blue flag flying high as ever. Come on, you